In this lesson, we're going to begin our exploration of statistics. So we'll keep that chapter on probability in mind because it will come up throughout our time together. But let's now shift towards statistics. This first chapter has a lot of vocabulary words, as you can already see here, just on this first page. It is best if you can take a moment and try to find them in your textbook. See if you can write down the definitions on your own. Pause the video, and when you come back, I'll talk you through the definitions. So let's start out at the very beginning. What is statistics? The field of statistics is the study of the collection, organization, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of data. So what's a variable? Well, if you're coming from algebra, you have a very specific image of a variable, likely x or y, or just any letter. But a variable in statistics is different. A variable is a characteristic or an attribute that can assume different values. One example of a variable that we could consider could be something like eye color or height, shape. So this idea of variable in statistics is some characteristic that occurs within a group of objects or people that could be different. Oftentimes the variable is what we're interested in. We're interested in the different eye colors of people. We're interested in the different values on a playing card. If we want to ensure that we have equity in our classrooms, we would want to observe the different ethnicities that make up the classrooms and make sure that we are serving every group well so that they can succeed. So another variable would be ethnicity. The idea with a variable in statistics isn't that it's a letter representing a number anymore, but it's a characteristic that can assume different values. The data is the collection of these different values that the variable can assume. So in this case, for data, if we're talking about eye color, we could have blue, brown, green, hazel. Even hazel has different connotations. Blue, green, hazel, green, brown, hazel. We could have heterochromia eyes, which means the eyes are two different colors. There's a lot of different eye colors that we could collect, and that would be our data set. How many people have blue eyes in the group that we're looking at? How many people with brown? How many people with green? Etc. But if I start talking about how many people, and I look at it as a whole set, so each individual eye color would be the data: blue, blue, brown, green, brown, green, brown, brown, blue, hazel, hazel, right? That's the data. But a data set is the collection of all of these data values. So the collection of data values that we're considering. I know there are a lot of definitions, and I'm going to try to give you examples for each one of them. And then we're going to apply these definitions a little bit later on. A random variable. When we put this word random in front of variable, now we have a variable whose values are determined by chance. So a random variable example would be rolling a die. You have this 6-sided die here, and you roll it, and you can have a variable, the random variable, which we will give a letter to in a lot of cases. But we have some probability of obtaining one of the values for this variable. A population, just like we talk about the United States population or the world population, we're talking about the entire group of people. Now, this idea of population, we can narrow it down. We could talk about the population of Las Positas college students. We could talk about the population of 18-year-olds. We could talk about the population of nurses, the population of adults, 18 and over, the population of children. So this idea of population, it's going to be the subjects that we're studying. What specifically are we studying? What qualities does that group have? Are we studying the entire United States? Or are we only studying Las Positas college students? Are we studying all of the community college students? Or just the ones currently taking classes right now at our school? So it will depend on the context of our situation what that population is. And we'll work to identify the populations with some examples right after we finish these definitions. A sample is a subgroup of the population. So a smaller group taken from the population, that's our sample. A group of subjects selected from the population. So one example could be if we're talking about Las Positas college students, maybe the sample is students with a last name that begins with P, or students that are randomly selected from a hat or using a computer random generator. We'll talk about how to sample, how to take these samples in section 1.3. Descriptive statistics and inferential statistics are the two branches that make up the overall field of statistics. Descriptive statistics is collecting, organizing, summarizing, and presenting the data. Inferential statistics is the analysis part. So inferential statistics, and I'm going to expand that word analysis a little bit, consists of generalizing from samples to populations, performing estimations and hypothesis tests, determining relationships among variables, and making predictions. For our class, the descriptive statistics sits in chapters 1 through 6, excluding 4 because 4 is that probability chapter. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 consist our descriptive statistics. And the inferential statistics is all in chapters 7 through 11. So we'll take the first half of the class and really work on describing, because we need the descriptions in order to do the inferences. So understanding why we call it descriptive statistics versus inferential statistics. This word describe is defined in the dictionary to represent or give an account of, to represent by a figure, model, or picture. And you see presentation of data, organizing, collecting, summarizing. This is descriptive statistics. Infer, to derive as a conclusion from facts or premises. Premises are assumptions that we can make, usually educated assumptions, good assumptions, based on what we're trying to understand. So here we have the difference between describe and infer, descriptive and inferential. This makes up all the definitions in section 1.1. So in the next part of our lesson, we're going to look at applying these definitions to different situations.